Headlines. Poll. Support for political party reaches all-time high as GOP fights over its future.
Oh, can't have that now, can we?
We'll see.
You know what the problem with a third party is? There's a couple problems, but one I would be fearful of is like there's all this speak of like how the parties don't fulfill the needs of the people because there's a certain level of corruption there. Mm-hmm. Well, the new party is going to be easily infiltrated, you know, and I understand. And I understand that you could like take like whatever Oster Peterson or like some of these other people that have ran Libertarian, for example, right, and stuff them in that party and be like, oh, help us foster the Patriot Party, for example. Like, dude, they could get these fresh young people that you've never heard of come in there and take it over. I mean, if it happens after a country collapse, what makes you think it's going to be any different when you start forming the grassroots foundation for a political party? I mean, it happened locally here to Scope in New York State, which is Shooters Committee on Public Education, right? Scope acronym. And it was basically like a pro-Second Amendment group that their big thing was they weren't trying to legislate things. They were just trying to educate people about firearms so that they would think about the laws that they were creating about firearms very differently. Mm-hmm. Now, Scope started off with good intention. It was right around the SAFE Act time. That's when it had a lot of public momentum, a lot of public gatherings, et cetera, et cetera. I know people personally who said that thing is corrupt as hell now. And the people were bought out by politicians, and they're basically just in the pocket of politicians and voting away your Second Amendment rights in New York State, for example, in this instance. Yeah. But it's going to happen to any kind of affiliations. And it's going to be easier now than ever. You know, I'm not trying to discourage a third party getting started, but third parties don't necessarily always bring good things. I mean, you could have gridlock. You think it's bad when two parties can't come together and reach an agreement? You know what I mean? Like, imagine having a third party with like equal representation and power. It happens in Europe, I guess.
My question is, I don't know do you suspect if anything were to happen, would it be a brand new third party that would come to light, or would it be one of the existing? Because there's other parties now. So when people talk about the two-party system, it's not technically a two-party system. I understand why people say it, but really there's, independent and Green Party and the Conservative Party and Libertarian Party.
I think we're having the wrong conversation, though. I mean, I really think we're having the wrong conversation. If we're discussing the need for a major third national, like a Libertarian Party or one of these ones you're talking about, right? Yes, David. Like, blow them up and put them on the main. Like, here's our third big party. Like, what we've been doing as people hasn't worked. People don't know what they want. They don't understand things. We're all trying to learn this stuff in real time. Like, it's so big and complex. Some people ignore it. Everybody apparently can vote, but not everybody's informed. Like, we don't have a good recipe to even sort out good public discourse about these issues. And we're talking about another party. Like, the party is going to solve the problem, which was that we don't talk politics and religion, and we don't try to understand them. Especially politics in this particular instance.
I think I agree with you, but I think the thinking is that the first two parties have just gone so awry that they obviously don't serve any public interest.
Because you voted those people there, though. So what? You start fresh and you hope that it doesn't happen again? Do you really think that the other two parties are going to let you make a third party?
No, they're absolutely not.
So, like, we can say all this stuff. Like, it'd be easier to vote out the people in power already. Wouldn't it? Wouldn't that be an easier system?
Maybe. I don't know. But if there's a top-down issue with the major parties, which is no matter who gets in, they always just have to fall in line. You can vote people out, then you vote new people in, and then they're just falling in line with what they're told to do. I mean, look what happened to what's her name, Marjorie Taylor, or whatever it is. She put in articles of impeachment for Joe Biden. She got smacked right down. She got silenced and kicked out of these committees, and So if anybody comes in, if
she had
anyone
a third
fresh
party,
comes
wouldn't
in,
change that though.
no,
That
I mean,
wouldn't-
but I think the thinking is that something has to change with the first two parties, and if that's a new party, then so be it. It's almost like we're stuck though, because we keep going down the same road. Obviously, the first two parties, there's an issue, but then you need enough support to garner a third party, which that poll is showing that it's trending in the right direction. I don't think we're anywhere near having a third legitimate party.
Well, what's insane to me is like, it's great. People say like, oh yeah, let's make a third party. Be like, yeah, it's going to take like 5 years to manifest it and actually be able to run a candidate. Be like, oh, that's not, it's too long. And then people fall off because they have attention.
I mean, it would likely be way longer than that because
well, for sure. I'm just using that as like a metric of like, this isn't like we're not going to get a third party president this election. Like, it's going to take 20 years to win a presidential election with your third party candidate.
But
so, like,
see what you just said there. That's my biggest problem with the Libertarian Party. I feel like they put so much focus and effort on a presidential election. They're selling themselves short. They need to worry more, put more resources into the local, the state, get people into offices. Worry about president later. They put all their resources.
Get a track record, like learn it, like actually develop strategies, and also obviously win people with your ideals, hopefully, and what you can, you're trying to promote.
They have not done a good job
to fight the system, man, against these lockdowns and stuff. Like, just introducing policies that people like Andrew Yang was running good, right, in the mayor of New York City, and then I saw some things that the polls were flipping on him, but he had all that good momentum. He's able to call out all these shitty politicians on their bad mistakes. I don't know, dude. You're definitely right with the grassroots thing for sure. I mean, but yeah, it's going to be a 20-year thing to do that.
At least, yeah.
People have a hard. I mean, people sway in 4 years at the federal level. Like what they bat the line for whatever I don't know.
Yeah. This isn't a new conversation. I'm trying to remember. I believe it was Ronald Reagan asked the great question: are you better off with a new political party or reinventing the current political party?
Yeah, Reagan, I think you're better off reinventing it. And Trump did, right? And that's why it's the fraction of the GOP. That's what's so funny about this third party thing, too, is like, it happened with the Tea Party movement, too, which was under Obama, which was like 10 years ago, right? We're talking about 10. So we're looking at
and that begs that's what adds to the point, though, is all those Tea Party people, very few of them long term ended up being what they were advertised as. And whether that's because they became corrupt by the power or whatever the case may be, only a small handful of them really turned out to be what they said they would.
So do you think that is a failure representation, or do you think that is a lack of voter accountability?
I don't know.
Like, I mean, it's so funny because we get mad at politicians. We do it here, we bring up their things. But, like, if we keep voting these people in and they're giving us shitty policies, it's actually a reflection of, like, our choices.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, our public conscience. And then we're upset about it. We're upset about the very things that we chose to implement by electing these people. This is the conversation we should be having instead of about a third party. We should be really questioning about, our merits as voters and what we can do with our vote. Your vote is powerful. And and especially after this past election, those 80 million Trump supporters, I think, that got ripped off, they're going to look at voting very differently. And I think that's where a lot of this third party stuff is coming from, obviously, is the fracture in the GOP and everything else. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, how fragmented has the left been? The progressive wing. Do you remember that? There was no progressive term under Obama. That was not a thing. I don't even think it was coined yet. I just think there was these ideas of the same things maybe, but they weren't this separate, like, subsection of the left wing of government politics. That they're the progressive movement. And then Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, they're coming out of the woodwork as progressives, Kamala Harris, and yeah, that's, I don't know.
No, we're going to see what happens going forward. I mean, The Libertarian Party, like I said, if they're the third option, they took a huge dip from 4 years ago. Whether that's due to part of this voter, I don't want to call it voter fraud, but let's say voter indifferences. We got to make sure we stay on the YouTube.
Maybe we should call it like
I think irregularities is okay.
How about we call it like voter competence?
Maybe.
I don't want to use their words. I'm so tired of like using their fucking language. They define language. They tell me what this is called. I mean, they define animals for us.
We just got to use like one of those like voter irregularities.